Level 1. The Aspirant. You've heard of them. Everyone has. You see the tab in the PX sometimes, the small curved patch on a man's shoulder. You don't ask about it. Something in the way he carries himself communicates that questions aren't welcome. Not hostility, just a door that isn't open. You are conventional army, infantry maybe, or maybe support. Either way, you are inside the same institution, but on a different floor. Your days run on schedule. PT at Kongnam Ba Kong. Formation, maintenance, briefings that run 40 minutes longer than they should, a training cycle that started 6 months ago and feels like it has always existed. You are good at your job. Competent, reliable, squared away. Your NCO says this at your last evaluation. You believe him. But something itches. You've done the research. Special Forces Assessment and Selection, SFAS. 24 days at Camp McCall. Then the Q course, if you pass. 18 to 24 months of language, medicine, demolitions, weapons, communications. Then a team, an ODA. 12 men who do things that don't appear in public reports. The pass rate at SFAS is approximately 30%. You know this number. What you don't know yet, what you can't know, is what the 70% feel when they come back. They come back, that's all. They don't talk about it much. You've seen a few of them. They look exactly the same as before, which is somehow the part that unsettles you. You downloaded the application in March. You opened it twice. You closed it both times. On a Tuesday in April, the SF team that rotates through your base walks through the motor pool. No one says anything, but the entire space gets quieter. Not from intimidation, something else. Recognition, maybe. The acknowledgement that something different is present, and that you are not yet that thing. You go back to the barracks. You open the laptop. The application is on the screen where you left it. You fill in the remaining fields. You read it once. You hit submit. 3 weeks later, orders arrive. Fort Bragg. Report date, Sauzer. You look at the orders for a long time. You don't know it yet, but the system has begun. Level 2. The Candidate. You do not know how long this will last. That is the first thing they don't tell you. Day 1 of Special Forces Assessment and Selection, SFAS, and no one provides a schedule. No timeline. No endpoint. You know officially it is 24 days. What you don't know is that the official number is mostly irrelevant. What matters is what happens before it ends. The ruck marches start before dawn. They do not tell you how far. You step off with 45 pounds on your back and a grid coordinate in your hand. 12 miles in, you hit the designated point. You expect something. A sign, a vehicle, an instructor. There is an instructor. He is writing on a clipboard. He does not look up. He points in a direction. You continue. According to multiple accounts from former SF candidates, the marches are designed without disclosed endpoints, precisely because the instructors want to identify who quits when they believe the end is near. Endurance is easy to train. The willingness to continue when you have been deceived about the finish, that is rarer. The instructors do not yell. This is the part no one warns you about. There is no screaming, no degradation, no Hollywood-style breaking down and building up. The instructors observe. They carry clipboards. They write things down. They do not share what they write. Former Delta Force operator Eric Haney described his own selection as the quietest hell you will ever experience. The silence is not accidental. The silence is the selection mechanism. They want men who self-regulate without external pressure, men who perform when no one is watching, when no one is grading, when the only person who knows if you're giving everything is you. The land navigation courses run day and night. You navigate alone. No teammates. No instructors offering hints. The time limit shrinks as the course progresses. You watch the group thin. At the start, 120 candidates approximately. By day 10, fewer. By day 20, significantly fewer. According to available data, the pass rate at SFAS is approximately 30%. You were not thinking about the 30%. You were thinking about the next grid coordinate. You pass. The Q course begins. 18 months minimum. Language school. The weapons course, Moitambe. The medical course, Moitamde. Communications. Demolitions. Small unit tactics and unconventional warfare doctrine. Then a tab arrives. A small piece of cloth. It is awarded without ceremony, in the way that the most significant things in this system tend to happen. You don't know yet what it costs. The next level teaches you to start learning. Level 3. The Rookie's Operator. The tab got you through the door. It did not get you respect. Respect in this system is not awarded. It accumulates. It has a long minimum. The men on your ODA have been doing this for years, some for a decade or more. Your team sergeant, a master sergeant whose service number predates your time in high school, shakes your hand when you arrive. The handshake is exactly the right length. Not warm, not cold. Assessment. You are assigned as Moitam E, Communications Sergeant, or Moitam B, Weapons, or Moitam D, Medic. Whichever it is, you begin practicing immediately, and you practice in the company of men who are significantly better at it than you are. Your first deployment, a country whose language you were supposed to have learned in the Q course. You were still working on it. The locals switch to English when they realize this. You write this fact in a small notebook and don't show it to anyone. The mission at this level is largely training host nation forces, foreign internal defense. You stand in a field and teach a man how to zero a rifle. He has been shooting since he was 11. His natural position is better than yours. You correct his trigger discipline anyway, because the doctrine says to. He accepts the correction without expression. After the session, he shoots a tighter group than you do. You write this in the notebook, too. An ODA is 12 men, 2 of each specialty, 2 medics, 2 weapons sergeants, 2 engineers, 2 communicators. The team cross-trains. Everyone knows a version of everyone else's job. This is deliberate. A team of 12 in the field is its own small civilization. Supply chains fail. Helicopters don't come. The team has to be self-sufficient. You are not yet self-sufficient. You are a skilled technician inside a highly skilled team, which means you are, by relative measure, the weakest person present. This is a specific kind of education. Your second deployment. Different country. The orders change after Wheels Up. Nobody looks surprised. The team sergeant adjusts. The captain reviews the new briefing. You adjust your kit. This is, you begin to understand, the actual rhythm of the work, not the glamour of the mission. The ability to adapt when the mission is no longer what it was supposed to be. You are getting better, slowly. In the way that things get better when no one is measuring them for you. Level 4. The Specialist. You are now a weapon the Army spent 4 years designing. Staff Sergeant. If you qualified as Muay Thai, the Special Forces Medical Sergeant, you spent 57 weeks in medical training before you arrived at this rank. Longer than many civilian physician assistant programs. What that training authorizes you to do in the field exceeds what licensed civilian paramedics are legally permitted to perform. According to Army Special Forces training documentation, the Muay Thai is trained in trauma management, surgical procedures, infectious disease, cardiac life support, and field dentistry. In austere environments, places without hospitals, without supply chains, without any formal medical infrastructure, you are the medical system. You work in a drainage ditch on a man who has been shot through the liver. The procedure you perform is not listed in the field manual by name. There is no form for it. You improvise, from training, from anatomy, from 47 minutes of focused problem-solving in low light with inadequate equipment. The man survives. Later, you write the paperwork. Under Procedure Performed, you describe the intervention in terminology that exists in the manual. The actual procedure has no official name. The paperwork is accurate in the sense that it does not contain lies. It is incomplete in the sense that it does not contain the truth. This is a skill you develop at Level 4, the ability to translate what happened into what can be documented. Your body begins to keep its own records. The knees, damaged from years of rucking under load, nothing surgical, nothing that would show cleanly on imaging, the kind of accumulation that doesn't announce itself until one particular morning when you stand up and understand that standing up is now a transaction. Your hearing. There was a firefight on the third tour. Proper hearing protection was not available, or not worn. The account varies depending on who you're talking to, and you are not talking to anyone about it. The left ear now has a frequency range that ends earlier than it should. You do not report these things. Reporting them means evaluation. Evaluation means desk duty. Desk duty means not being here. You are here. This is where you are most capable. This is where the training points. You are, at this level, operating at the peak of individual competence. The cost is being paid in a currency the system doesn't track. Level 5. The Combat Veteran. You've stopped counting in tours. You count in moments. There's the moment in Kandahar when the vehicle in front of you hit something, and you were already moving before the sound registered. There's the moment in another country, the name you don't use, when a planned exfil became something else, and you improvised for 11 hours. There's the moment in a third location you won't describe even now, when you understood, very clearly, what it would have meant if the timing had been 30 seconds different. These are the units of measurement at Level 5. Not deployments. Moments. You are a Sergeant First Class, E7. Somewhere between 4 and 6 combat deployments, depending on how you define deployment. Your body carries what your service record doesn't. The medical record shows a clean-ish history because you've made choices about what to put in it. The shoulder that didn't heal correctly from a fall during a training evolution is managed with a specific angle of movement you've learned not to explain to people. The hearing is what it is. The knees are a daily negotiation. According to accounts from Special Forces community sources, a typical SF year includes a 3 to 6 month deployment, followed by a 4 to 6 month train-up. The cycle restarts. And families adjust. Your wife stopped asking where. Not because she doesn't care. Because she learned, somewhere around deployment 3, that asking where produces an answer she's not permitted to keep and doesn't help with the waiting. She pours coffee in the morning when you're home and doesn't look at the bag by the door. Your youngest draws soldiers at the kitchen counter with a yellow crayon. The soldier in the drawing is wearing a rucksack. It looks like you. You don't comment. At level 5, you have developed something that is not arrogance. Call it pattern recognition. You can tell, within the first 15 minutes of an operational brief, whether the plan is survivable. You know which variables the planners haven't accounted for, and which of those variables will matter. You don't always say this. You say it when it matters. The judgment of when it matters has taken years to calibrate. Your team sergeant is retiring. The slot is open. They ask if you want it. You say yes before they finish asking. Level 6. The Team Sergeant. Your rank is Master Sergeant. Your authority is described in Army Field Manual Bamuitam, the official doctrine governing Special Forces operations, in language that takes a specific kind of reading to interpret correctly. The field manual states that the team sergeant advises the detachment commander on all operational matters. Advises. What this means in practice? You determine what is achievable and what is not. You assess the team's readiness, the plan's survivability, and the viability of every decision before it reaches the captain. You run the training schedule. You manage the interpersonal architecture of 12 people who will trust each other with their lives. When a plan arrives from above, you rephrase it until it is something the team can execute and survive. Then you present it. The captain approves. Every new captain who arrives at an ODA receives a quiet conversation, usually from the group sergeant major, sometimes from peers. The conversation contains one core piece of guidance. Listen to your team sergeant. The captain has command authority. You have operational knowledge. The manual calls this advising. The men on the team call it something they don't need to name. The team communicates in near silence during operations. Hand signals. Brief radio calls. A vocabulary of small gestures that have been trained into reflex. You built this. Over years of exercises and deployments and after-action reviews that ran until Haizur, the something wasn't right, and it needed to be right. The silence in the field is not absence. It is a language you constructed. Here is the thing about Level 6 that the system doesn't discuss openly. Promotion past this point means leaving the team. The Army's career progression requires officers and senior NCOs to rotate through staff assignments to advance. Advancing means a desk. A desk means departure from the only context in which everything you have built is useful. Most team sergeants retire here, not because they are forced to, because they look at the alternative and decide that the cost of advancement isn't worth what it takes away. A new captain arrives, 26 years old, graduate of the Special Forces Officer Qualification course. He knows the doctrine. He does not know the team. His handshake is firm. His eyes are asking the right questions, even if his mouth isn't asking them yet. You have seen many captains. This one might be good. Your job is to make him effective, without making him feel unnecessary. It's more delicate than most of what you do. Level 7. The ODA Commander. You have command authority. You have used it in the decisive sense, the unilateral sense, exactly 3 times in 6 months. 2 of those instances were administrative. 1 was operational. And even then you ran it past your team sergeant first, because the operation was survivable and you intended it to remain that way. You are a captain. Oh, bah. Detachment commander, Muitam A. On paper, you lead this team. In practice, you are in a specific phase that every experienced SF officer knows, and no one in the Q course fully prepares you for. The probationary period. Not official, not discussed, present nonetheless. Your team sergeant was serving in special forces before you graduated high school. He has forgotten more about unconventional warfare than you have yet learned. This is not a criticism. It is simply the structure of the system, and the system is not wrong to be structured this way. Experienced knowledge is more valuable than institutional authority in the field. FMBA Muitam acknowledges this in its own careful language. You have read it more carefully since arriving. The planning session. Your team sergeant presents the operational concept. You listen. You ask one question. He answers. You assess the answer against the mission parameters, the intelligence, and the team's current state of readiness. You sign. Both of you know who made the decision. The Army's Career Progression Plan, DAPAM, SOCOM Gatnoi Haimilam, for Career Management Field Muitam, is clear. Officers rotate through staff assignments. You will not command this ODA indefinitely. The system requires you to advance, and advancing means departing. The best captains in Special Forces understand this and make peace with it. The difficult ones don't, and spend their command trying to become something the system hasn't designed them to be yet. You are trying to be a good captain in the time you have. You defer appropriately. You act decisively when it matters. You protect the team from decisions above that would cost more than they're worth. You learn from a man who will never have your rank and is significantly more capable than you in every dimension that matters here. Your battalion commander contacts you. There is a staff slot. 6 months, S3. Planning and operations for the group. You know what this means. This is the first step in the trajectory. You say you'll think about it. You do not think about anything else for the next 3 days. Level 8. The Staff Officer. Your calendar has 8 recurring meetings. 7 of them exist to coordinate the 8th. The 8th is the Commander's Update Brief, which occurs every Thursday at 1400, and for which you will spend approximately 11 hours across the week preparing slides that will be reviewed for 40 minutes and then approved or adjusted by men who did not make the slides and will not remember them next Thursday. You are a lieutenant colonel, or a colonel. The desk is the same either way. Monday, operations synchronization. Tuesday, training synchronization. Wednesday, administrative review. Thursday, CUB. Friday, closeout review. The following Monday, the cycle restarts. You have been doing this for 2 years. The men you are deploying are men you have not rucked with. This is a specific discomfort. Not guilt, not regret. Discomfort. You signed deployment orders last month for an ODA that includes 2 operators you met once, briefly, at a pre-deployment briefing. They are currently in a location you know. You know the grid coordinate. You have access to the drone feed. You are in Tampa. The drone feed plays on a monitor in your office at Hongba, Hong Kong during a time-sensitive operation. The team is on the ground. You can see thermal signatures moving in a pattern consistent with the plan. Then the feed freezes. 4 seconds. Your hands don't move. You have learned, in this role, not to move when the feed freezes. There is nothing useful you can do in those 4 seconds. The team is operating on their own initiative, regardless of whether your feed is working. Your function in this moment is to wait. The feed resumes. The signatures continue moving. The operation proceeds. You close the laptop and sit in the quiet. There is a loneliness at level 8 that has no clean name. It isn't the loneliness of being alone. It's the loneliness of being the person who decides, and then watches from a screen while other people execute the decision. You used to be the one on the screen. The transition was gradual, then it was complete. A message comes through a secure channel. There is an opening at a unit that does not publicize its location. The men there do not wear their patches outside the wire. You know what unit this is without it being named. They want to know if you're interested in trying. Level 9, the Tier 1 Operator. You don't say the name of your unit. Not in public, not in most private contexts. If someone asks where you're assigned, you say Special Operations. If they press, you say you can't discuss it. If they press further, and some people do, you look at them in a way that ends the conversation. To reach this level, you spent years at levels 3 through 6 in Tier 2. Green Berets, Rangers, SEAL teams. Whatever path brought you here, it was not short. It did not have shortcuts. When the invitation came, a quiet conversation, a classified briefing, a form to sign, you had already done more than most operators ever do. Then you had to do it again. The assessment and selection for a Tier 1 unit operates in near total silence. According to former operator Eric Haney, who described his own experience in the published memoir Inside Delta Force, it is the quietest hell you will ever experience. There is no yelling, no encouragement, no feedback at any point during the 3-week process. The instructors observe and record. Roughly 90% of candidates do not complete selection, according to Britannica's entry on Delta Force. Of the 120 who typically begin, according to accounts from former operators, approximately 12 to 16 finish. The silence is not incidental. It is the mechanism. This unit wants men who regulate themselves without external validation. Men who perform correctly when no one is providing real-time guidance. Because in the field, there is frequently no one providing real-time guidance. You passed. You are now assigned to a unit that is not officially acknowledged in most public documents. Your wife knows you are in Special Operations. Your parents know you are in the Army. This is the full extent of what your family is permitted to know, and they have agreed to this because the alternative is not having you in Special Operations. The operations you run are in places the United States is not officially conducting operations. You know this before you deploy. You deploy anyway. This is what you volunteered for, in the specific and complete sense of the word volunteered. Records suggest, and this is based on investigative journalism from multiple reputable outlets, that when Tier 1 operators are killed in action, initial official reports may describe the cause of death in terms that do not reflect what actually happened, in order to protect operational security. The family learns the truth. The timeline of that learning is not controlled by the family. You understood this before you signed the form. 12 of the people you've worked with closely are dead. None of them are publicly famous. None of them appeared in news coverage with their names attached. In some cases, their involvement in specific operations has never been officially confirmed. This is, in some way, the point. You are the most capable human being your country has ever trained. You exist in the same way your equipment exists. Useful, durable, maintained. And at some level, a level you understand without sentimentality, replaceable. The system required this. You agreed to it. The accounting is clear, and you made the calculation correctly, and you would make it again. Level 10. The SOCOM Commander. You command 70,000 people. The number is approximate, The exact figure is classified. The countries in which your personnel are operating, more than 80 of them, simultaneously, according to available USS SOCOM documentation, represent a scope of activity that no single person can comprehend in operational detail. You do not try to comprehend it in operational detail. You comprehend it in aggregate. You comprehend it through intelligence briefings. The briefings are written by analysts. The analysts are skilled, rigorous. Many of them have advanced degrees in regional studies, linguistics, political science. They synthesize open-source intelligence, signals intelligence, and human intelligence into documents that land on your desk at Sao Zhe. You read them. You make decisions based on them. The last time you were on the ground in a firefight, you were a captain. It was more than 20 years ago. You remember the specific quality of the air and the specific sequence of sounds in a way that briefings cannot replicate. You do not mention this in your briefings because it is not relevant to the decision at hand, and because the men who write the briefings have done their jobs well, and because there is nothing useful that your 20-year-old ground truth adds to a current operational picture. According to Rand Corporation research on USS SOCOM's post-9/11 expansion, the command grew from approximately 30,000 to more than 60,000 personnel in the decade following September Motmok. The growth in size was accompanied by growth in institutional complexity. Budget, oversight, congressional testimony, Inspector General reviews. You give a speech at a Special Operations Memorial Ceremony. There are names on the wall. 34 of them died in operations you authorized. You did not know most of them personally. The speech is well written. It is accurate. It honors what they did without specifying what they did. You have learned to speak in a way that does not sound like speaking a specific skill, developed over years of congressional testimony and press briefings, in which the obligation to protect classified information coexists with the obligation to communicate to a public audience. The gap between the speech and the wall is not something you can close. This is the nature of the position. The man at level 9, the most capable operator your military has produced, is running an operation in a country you cannot name, based on intelligence from a briefing you read this morning, under orders that trace back to a document you signed. He does not know you in the specific way that you existed at level 6, when you knew the names and histories and families of every person on your team. You are, to him, a signature. At level 10, the silence is different. At level 2, silence was imposed, the instructors watching, the clipboards filling. At level 6, silence was constructed, a language of hand signals built over years. At level 9, silence was existential, the unit that does not officially exist. At level 10, silence is deliberate. Institutional. Practiced. You evacuate specifics not because you have forgotten them, but because the position requires it. You are the most powerful person in the most elite military structure your country has built. You have not been on the ground in 25 years. Both of these things are true simultaneously. Somewhere, right now, a 19-year-old conventional soldier just submitted an SFAS application on a government laptop. He doesn't know your name. You would not recognize his face. The system does not require either of you to know the other. It requires only that you serve the same architecture. At level 1, the system shapes you without telling you how. At level 10, the system still shapes you, but by now, you've learned to do it yourself. He doesn't know what the selection costs. You know exactly what it costs, because you paid it at every level. And at some levels, you paid it in currency you did not know you were carrying. Neither of you is free. One of you knows this. The cycle continues. A man is working on a gunshot wound to the liver in a drainage ditch. The procedure isn't in the field manual. He performs it anyway. He saves the man. The paperwork will describe it in terms that exist in the manual. The actual procedure has no official name. This is level 4. The Army spent 4 years building him. The Army has no form for what he just did. 10 levels, 1 system. None of it works.